Morning, guys. Super excited, super excited about our call here this morning. Laura's joining us to share her trials, tribulations, successes on her real estate and rental property investing journey. I know I'm super stoked about it. She shared a little bit about why she joined the group, and I think this is going to be a huge inspiration to a lot of other students. So, Laura, without further ado, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live and what do you do right now? And then we'll dive into that real estate piece.
All right. Well, I live in West Michigan. I live in a very rural, small community, and I started in real estate many years ago. Monopoly was my favorite game as a kid, and I
I love
loved the
it.
idea of buying something and letting somebody else pay off the mortgage. And
Yep.
at that point, I was young, so I had, many years to let that happen. So I was fresh out of college and started looking for my first two family. I was working with
Nice.
a
So you started
female.
early, huh?
Yeah, I was working with a female realtor and I started calculating the commission she was going to make if I purchased this place.
Ooh,
And I don't know, I just fell in love with real estate and said, you know what? I'm going to get into real estate. So that's
I
what I'm
love
doing
that.
right now. I am a real estate broker in West Michigan. I have a small office and I've been doing that for 30 plus years. So it's
That's great.
kept me kind of engaged in the market. But I
I
learned
love it.
early on that you can make a living selling real estate, but you're going to create generational wealth investing in real estate.
Hmm.
So that was my goal. I just kind of started playing the game. When I started, it was easy to find properties because we didn't have a shortage. Um,
Oh, great.
yeah, multifamilies where you could buy on land contract with very little down, and it
Wow.
just but fast forward to where we are now, right? Everything is overinflated,
Yep.
price wise, and it's very hard to find properties on the market that actually cash flow, at least
Yeah.
in my market, which was part of the reason that I reached out to your group. I knew you guys were doing a lot of things in other states, and I had no knowledge or experience purchasing any real estate outside of Michigan.
Yep.
And I thought, well, there's got to be opportunity somewhere. So got
I
involved
love
in the
that.
course and started figuring other things out. I still have not purchased out of state, but kind of talking to some of the other coaches inspired me to maybe reevaluate what the goals were and where I was going. So I converted one of my long-term rentals into a short-term rental, which was one of my
Beautiful.
goals for this year.
Okay.
I was going to try to buy one, and I don't know, it just kind of dawned on me, wow, I have a vacancy right now. Why don't I just kind of see how this goes without
Just
having to
reposition
purchase?
it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Was it a
Yep.
single family or is it like a unit in one of your
It's a
buildings?
it's a unit in one of my three units.
Okay, great.
I had converted a pole barn into a barn dominium
Oh,
about
nice.
4 years ago, and we created four units out of it. So
Okay, great.
in Michigan, we have for the last 6 or 7 years had a major housing shortage. So
Like
when
everywhere,
I
yeah.
say, is that everywhere? So
Oh,
like
yeah, it's bad.
my knowledge of real estate ends here in Michigan.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I mean, just with that has created so much value in properties that, like I was saying, it's really hard to find them that can cash flow. We have
Yeah.
them for sale, and I don't know, in my own mind, I have my own investment formula and how it has to perform for me to even consider it. And I'm just like, if I bought this, I would make absolutely no money. Why would I take my
Yep.
money out of the market to earn nothing? So
Exactly.
that was again, I'm like, okay, well, people are buying real estate every day. So I got to get in with these other coaches and people who are doing this and find out where they're
Yep.
buying, what they're doing, and how they're actually making money because I know it can be done.
Yep. So
Yeah.
tell us, so you decided to reposition this unit, and it's kind of funny you say that because um, one of my close friends, his name's Kirby Atwell. He lives in Michigan City, which is in Indiana,
Yep.
and he buys like 2 and 3 unit buildings and turns them into Airbnbs. But he also has it set up so if for some reason the Airbnbs start to decline, he can put long-term renters in those and they still cash flow really well. So you're just kind of
Yeah.
doing that system a little bit backwards.
Yep.
What wound up happening? Has it been successful so far?
So I'm on about week 6 and my
Okay.
calendar is from what's on the books right now is going to break me even as far as what I would get if I had to kept my long-term renter in place.
Okay.
I see the potential in it being definitely more lucrative as I get out there. So my very
Yeah.
first property, my first showing, I got our first customer, visitor, client, whatever we want to call them. I got a 5-star review, which,
Beautiful.
that was a great start. And she actually told me that her and her husband clean Airbnbs. So she gave me a whole bunch of pointers. But I had
That's
already
great.
had all those pointers from Jen. Her and I had a great coaching call before I launched, and she really walked me through a lot of the things. But
Good.
on some of the freebies I was leaving out, in case you forgot this or in case you forgot that, I guess I was more generous than what I should have been. And she's like, yeah, Laura, you don't want to do that because people take everything. So,
Yeah.
you need to kind of scale back on your things. But so that was really kind of nice. So I had a good first experience. Then along the way, I had a couple cancellations. I mean,
Hmm.
this is just so new. It's only been
Yeah.
6 weeks since I launched. So I had two cancellations. I'm like, oh man. And one of them was like a 2-weeker
Oh,
traveling
wow.
nurse. And I've learned already that this is not the rental business. This is a hospitality business.
It is. Yeah. That's
It,
huge differentiation to make. Yeah.
Completely, yeah, completely different. So, and now that I've kind of changed the way of thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm feeling good about this, and I'm very responsive. I've learned on Airbnb, if they send you a message, you need to reply now. You don't have the luxury of, oh, I'll get it when I get out of the gym or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first knock, missing that 2-week one because that was a big income earner. But so far, I'm happy with the results. So,
I love
I,
that. So,
yeah.
and I was going to ask earlier, but I forgot. You've kind of been buying and selling and investing for the last 30 years, essentially.
Yeah.
When you started with Rental Property Pro, how many units or buildings or properties did you start with? How or come into
So
this with?
I had five renters. I had two single families and a 3 unit.
Okay, great.
Um, I also have a cottage that we have been renovating for the last 5 years. It's kind
Oh,
of been
wow,
a
that's quite the
project. Yeah.
renovation project, Laura.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a gutted and then nobody wanted to do anything with it. And so that was actually going to be my first short-term rental.
Okay.
And it's almost ready to go. I'm definitely going to have it ready to go before spring market hits. Um, and so anyway, that was the whole goal. I wanted to get in the short-term rental business, and I thought that was going to be my key to doing it. So now that I've converted that long-term rental into a short-term,
Yep.
I'm more confident about the lake one because I think that one is going to be a desired location where the one I have now is more of a there's no place to rent if you're coming in to see grandma and grandpa or mom and dad
Yeah.
unless you go 15 miles in any direction because again it's a very small town. So it's more of a planned destination or a convenience stop, I guess I would call it, than
Yep.
hey, let's go here. It looks like a great place to vacation.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Coming from someone that owns a Airbnb by a lake, they are highly desirable. So I think you'll have some good success with that.
Yeah, I thank you. So I've talked through with that with Jen, and I think Tim and I've had some conversation on it too. And I'm super stoked to get that one up and going. So
Awesome. Now,
almost
with all
there.
the, obviously we don't know what we don't know, and being a real estate investor and agent, there's a big like learning curve between being an agent and being an investor, right?
For
Everybody
sure.
thinks that if you're an agent, you know how to invest, and if you're an investor, you know how to be an agent, and that is not the case, right?
Yeah, right.
So, like, what stuck out to you? Why, you know, where did you think that there was I guess, an education or a knowledge gap for you from kind of like continuing to grow your portfolio? Like what brought you here?
Yeah. So I was lucky when I first started. I was kind of being mentored by somebody else who was doing already what I wanted to do. I learned that early
Hmm.
on, right? You kind of pair yourself up with someone who's a little smarter than you, has a little bit
Yep.
more, and can, teach you something.
Ride their
So
coattails as far as they'll let you.
absolutely. So I learned a ton from him, and he really was showing me how to structure deals with very little money down. And this
Great.
was it's the same concept as the BRRR,
Yeah.
only we didn't call it that, right? So
Yeah.
you would buy something and rehab it and then refinance it and pull the cash back out. But they didn't have DSCR loans then. So we were
Yeah.
doing conventional financing and you could only
Hmm.
have like 8 mortgages in your name. That was
Yeah.
one of the Fannie or Freddie guidelines. So I would buy them and then my husband would buy some. And we had a pretty big portfolio many years ago.
Oh, wow.
And then the foreclosure market hit.
Okay,
That
2010
pretty
came
much
around.
wiped us out. Yeah, we were over
Okay.
leveraged on everything when property values went from, oh, it was worth 80 and now it's worth $8,000.
Oh, good Lord.
I mean, it hit really hard here. And I
Yeah.
had, anyway, having success in buying and being a landlord, I had a lot of investor clients who were doing the same thing. So it just kind of worked out well for me that I was able to turn what I loved to do, which was the number aspect of it, right?
Yep.
Making money on investments, into a business working with other people who wanted to do it. So that was really the bulk of my business in real estate. So it did kind of go hand in hand.
Nice.
Um,
So you became like an investor agent for a lot of buyers and
yeah,
investors in that area. Nice.
yep, absolutely. Yep. And then unfortunately, they were all ended up in kind of the same boat I did. We were all
Yeah.
over leveraged and it was so hard to hang on to things that we started doing, we had to short sale. Lots of us short sailed a lot of our
Wow.
portfolio. So I started with one property that I had and I had it free and clear and I rebuilt from there to get to the doors that I have now.
I love
So it
that.
was a slow process, and I've been holding myself back right out of fear of that happening again. It's like I don't want to be
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
leveraged. So how many do you buy? Yes, I know you can borrow money and you can keep doing it, but once it
Yeah, when
happens
you
to
get
you,
knocked down that hard, you get back up, but you're definitely like gun shy, right? Of
absolutely.
going down that road again. And one
Yep.
thing you said earlier is like when you came in to Run Property Pro, like I guess I don't know if it was Jen or one of the coaches, like you reevaluated like what your goals were, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little because I'm sure that goes hand in hand in terms of growing your portfolio. So
Right.
tell
So
us
my big
what was the change there?
Yeah, well, my big question was, okay, I saved enough money that I can either buy one more rental in my market,
Okay.
or do I scale and use that and buy three more properties, right? So
By
I'm
financing,
basically
basically.
financing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
pay cash or do I buy and try to buy three?
Okay.
And I was back to, okay, I can find them, but they're not making any money. So maybe if I go in with cash, I could discount it a little bit. But even in this market, I'm not, with my real
Still not
estate
great.
hat on, I'm not finding that. If I'm
Yep.
an investor looking for wholesale opportunities, maybe I could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like one of my big questions. I was at this crossroad. What do I do? What do I do? So then after kind of talking with the coaches and trying to figure out what's my end game here, what am I thinking? It was like I need X amount of dollars for
Hmm.
residual income for my retirement
Yep.
plan.
Okay.
So and basically after redoing that and looking, I fell into an amazing opportunity for a vacant piece of land here in my little rural area, and
Nice. Okay.
we're going to build another barn dominium there. So the numbers
Awesome.
all worked out really well that I will be able to do it with the liquid cash that I have. And so
Beautiful.
then that cash flow I'm going to have is going to be so significant, it'll meet my retirement goal.
One deal and you're done.
One deal and I'm done. But
Hey,
along
look
the
at that.
way, I'm almost going to launch that second short-term rental, and I'm just doing this one. So I'm very hopeful that that's going to exceed where I need to be. And then, of course,
That's
from there, I'm
great.
just going to continue to try to, save some cash and keep scaling that way.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's you got to be the shortest to retirement out of any student that we've had. One deal and done. Tell us about how'd you find it? What are the numbers? How's
Yeah.
this going to play out? I want to hear.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it was an 8 acre piece, and it's actually
Wow.
located right in the city where I live. Um, The realtor that had it was a listed property on the market. The realtor never even put a sign on it. So it had a
Okay.
lot of time on the market. And
Yeah.
if you don't see a sign, you don't know vacant land is for sale.
No one's looking for
It,
that on the MLS. No.
well, no, they're not. And if they even did find it, you wouldn't know where the property is unless you're doing more legwork, right? So
Yep.
I did the legwork. I found where it was at, mapped it all out on the GIS mapping. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this really has a ton of potential because it's in the city limits. So it has
Yeah.
city water and city sewer.
That's
Out
great.
here, we're so rural, a lot of things have well and septic.
Yep.
And it was on pavement, not on dirt. I mean, it just was hitting all the hot cards. So anyway, time on market was like 4 months, and I made an offer, and they countered
Low
it.
ball offer, hopefully.
Yeah, I made a low ball offer. Yeah,
Good.
it wasn't listed that high either. It was listed like for 75 grand, and I offered them like 40, and
Perfect.
they came back at I want to say 56 or something.
Oh,
But
wow.
I mean, it was a steal at 75. Had they put a sign out and really done some good marketing on it, they could have sold that for probably 150. So I feel
Wow.
like I stole that property, right?
That's
I did
crazy.
really, really good on that. And then I've been talking to a couple of different local builders. I'm still working on tweaking the plan to make it the most
Hmm.
efficient as possible, but we're going to gear it towards elderly or retirees. So it's going to be
Nice.
like one level, handicap accessible. And again,
Assisted living,
small,
kind of?
pardon?
Assisted living or
No, not assisted living.
okay.
They're going to be independent, just rental units, but it's going to be like, well, I've since we've been talking about this and I live in small town USA, I've actually had two different widows recently reach out and say, "Hey, we hear you're putting in some
Wow.
housing
Okay.
right outside of town. We're very interested."
Yep.
So that kind of inspired me to be like, "Hey, you know what? I think I need to gear it so that it's handicap or wheelchair accessible. I don't know the proper terminology anymore, but
Yep.
um, so that it can be their last, right? They downsize from that home that they were in for
Yeah.
30 or 40 years, and then this is their, age in place, I guess, facility. Because again,
Yeah.
there's nothing like that close or in our city. So you'd have to go
That's
15
great.
miles either way to pick up something. So the lot, even though it's 8 acres, it does have some challenges. There's some wetlands on it.
Yeah.
But where we don't have any restrictions, we could for sure do a nice 3 unit.
Okay. So you're gonna do a
Yeah.
3 units on the property. And
Yep, three
then
units on the property.
nice. And the goal there is to do, you're basically going to, I'm sure you're looking at what your cost per square foot is to build, right? And
Yeah,
comparing
yes,
that to what you're going to get from those 3 units in terms of rent, right? And that's
correct.
getting you the income you want.
Yeah, yep,
Awesome. What
exactly.
is your cost per square foot to build out there? Because that's going to make me angry and I want to know what that is.
Okay, well, you probably don't want to know what that is. It is going to make you angry. So I have a little bit of experience with modular housing. So
Okay, yeah,
I have that number as a solid number. You can do a 3 unit or a multi-unit, doesn't necessarily have to be just three. Modular ranch style construction that's pretty decent for $130 a square foot.
that's
Now,
great. Yeah,
I don't have my numbers back for my barn dominium, but because we've already done the one that's a 3 unit, I feel that that's going to be pretty darn close to that. And if we
yep,
could go stick built versus manufactured, I want to do that.
absolutely. It's easier to finance. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yes, easier to finance. And I just feel like the modular, getting the sections onto this particular parcel because they come so big may be a little challenging, and it's got some nice trees and stuff on it. It's a mature lot. It's very
yep.
desirable and mature. So to keep the as many trees as we can and the lot in the condition that it's in, stick built would probably be a little bit better.
I love that. And I like that you're looking at it both ways. I actually, I'm in the process of buying a 19 unit and I just went out to see it the other day and I hadn't been there in a couple months and someone uh, like a block or 2 blocks over had poured pads and were putting in like 10 of those modular properties, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, that's a really, really good idea. So it's I'm seeing it work. My thought
Yeah.
initially was like, wonder how you finance those because those financing terms aren't the greatest, but if you can do stick built, that would be the best for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, I agree
Cool.
with that. So, and I think
And
the
do you
numbers
mind
are going to
sharing
be
like
pretty
what's
close.
the cash flow going to be on something
Yeah,
like
no,
that
I
when it's
don't
all
mind
said
at
and done?
all. So the goal on those units, they're either going to be they'll be less than 1,000 square foot. So they're going
Okay.
to, again, maybe 860 square feet for a one bedroom and
Okay.
possibly go up and do two bedroom. So my two bedrooms are probably going to go for 1,800. They'll all have a
Wow. Okay.
install garage. Yep. And then the one bedrooms will probably be about 1,600.
That's great. That's
And
great. And you
believe it or
are you
not,
doing this deal cash or are you going to finance it?
I'm gonna go as far cash as I can, and if I
Okay.
end up running a little bit short, then I'm gonna have to borrow some money. It just depends on
Yeah.
how those final numbers come out, but I'm gonna be close.
Yeah, because that I mean, if you are able to get it to the finish line cash, I mean, that's what 5 grand a month
Yeah,
towards your bottom line.
yeah, and I figure I've got 5.5 years before I can actually even collect. I'm using my 401k, so
Okay,
that if
great.
any of you have self-directed 401ks, that is a phenomenal use of your money,
Yep.
I think. So I got 5.5 years before I can even collect from it. So even if I had to incur some, no cash flow because the money's all going back into the 401k anyway,
Yep.
until I'm able to old enough to to utilize it. Um, it would bring in enough cash that it would still be paid for by the time I retire in that five. Well, I don't know if I'll retire, but before I'm eligible to
Yeah,
start putting money
eligible to
aside
take
in
money
both
from
years.
it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Congratulations. That's
Thank
huge.
you. That
One
is a huge
deal,
win.
knock it out. That's
Yep.
awesome. And for you, like what, I know we had talked about this a little bit before we jumped on a call, but like what brought you to Rental Property Pro in the community? I mean, obviously you have a ton of experience, right? And in real estate and
Yeah.
supporting other investors. What
Yeah.
was like, hey, I need some more support. What was that thing for you?
Yeah, well, it was pretty much I wasn't able to even find deals, and I know people are buying, and I'm like, okay, what don't I know here? How are they doing this and finding things that
Yep.
cash flow, and how are people right now building portfolios? Because I
Yep.
still have clients that come to me and say, hey, we want to get into the rental business, we want to buy stuff, and we will scour and look, and it's like, it doesn't have any cash flow. I
Yeah.
in good conscience can't tell you that this is a good deal. Yes, it will appreciate and you can bank on future appreciation, but there's got to be deals that can be had that are currently cash flowing out of the gate.
Yep.
Yeah. So I thought I gotta learn what's going on. I've been out of that loop for a long time, and how I'm doing it's not working. So are people buying with no cash flow and they're waiting and banking on appreciation, or are they going to markets or building or doing other alternatives to actually create that cash flow?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was why I actually joined. It's like, okay, I need to get with some like-minded people that are already
Nice.
doing what I want to accomplish and can actually give me some guidance and kind of just let me bounce ideas and share ideas with them on what would be the best way to go and structure. And like I said, I
Yeah,
was
and it's all
really at
about
that.
getting creative, right? Like I think that's the thing that you learned, right? Was
Yeah,
like, yes,
absolutely.
people are buying properties that don't cash flow, which is insane, right? But at the same
Yep,
time, you still can, but you have to get creative. Like you were like, oh, this piece of land, what if I just did like a little development project here, right?
yep,
So,
yep. Yeah, so it's like I couldn't buy it, so I have to create it.
yeah, exactly. And it's in your backyard, so that gets to keep your entire portfolio together, which is very rare, right?
Yeah,
And you'll be able to sell. Are you self-managing now?
I am.
Okay, cool. So you get to
Yeah,
continue to self-manage and
yeah.
keep everything essentially under one roof, which is great.
Yep.
Awesome. Now, with your wisdom of investing, what would you, for someone who's new, who might not have as much experience and like getting into real estate right now, what advice would you give to them or give to your like, 30-year younger self as you were jumping into this? Like,
Yeah.
what do I do?
That's funny because I have these nephews that are that age right now, and they want to get so bad into real estate. And
Yep.
this is what I told them. They're both single. I'm like, buy a two family, live in one side, rent the other side out, just
Yep.
long enough to figure out your next move, right? Maybe you're there a year, maybe you're there 2 years, but then take if you've saved enough for a down payment on another one, kind of just repeat, keep repeating,
Yep.
build it that way. And then hopefully by the time you are married and you have a family and you need a house to live in, those can be your rentals, and you
Yep.
can turn around and buy your primary residence and continue to let your tenants pay those properties down. But
Absolutely. That's great advice. That's great advice. Everybody, I feel like sometimes like when you're young, like I don't know if it's ego. It's just like I want to buy my house, right? Where you just
yeah,
just buy a two family or a three family, you get great financing on it, you get someone else to pay the mortgage, right?
yep, yep,
Just just find a way to make investing work as quickly as possible because time's on your side when you're young, right? And
absolutely. So
if we
that's
have
what I
time
keep
with
telling
real
them.
estate, oh, go
Yep,
ahead.
I'm
What were
like,
you
do
saying?
that, do that. That is what you should do because you can, continue to get equity, but they are in the mindset that, well, $100 or $200 a month is, positive cash flow is just not life changing. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
enough.
chump
They
change,
want
right?
they
Yeah.
want something bigger.
Yeah, exactly. When in actuality, in 10 years or 15 years, you're going to look back on that 100, $200 a month and go, holy shit, I got
Yeah.
100, 200 grand in equity, sitting
Yeah,
around.
I know. And on top of that, it's like as they're scaling, it's like, okay, so in 5 years, that's going to turn into 10 properties, right? And you're
Yep.
going to be having $2,000 a month positive with someone else making your mortgage payment. And
Yep. Exactly.
yeah,
I remember when I bought, because as an investor, we always got to do research and we got to, always dig into the properties that we purchase. The last house that I bought here in San Diego, I've since sold it, but I was researching it, and the homeowner, the original homeowner, the guy that I was buying from, he bought the house for $72,000, right? Now he did an addition and probably paid another $150,000 for the addition. So let's say he's all in at 250 grand, right?
Yep.
And 43 years later, he sold it for $1.8 million. So it's
Oh,
like just time. It's just you gotta utilize time, and you'll always win in real estate in most
yeah.
cases, which is great.
And whoever would have thought that we'd just be seeing the appreciation we are. Here
Yep,
in Michigan, we've been seeing double digit appreciation for probably the last 9 or 10 years. So
that's crazy.
for my clients that bought something 7 years ago from me,
Yeah,
it's doubled in value already,
that's crazy.
doubled in
That's crazy.
equity. So if you bought a two
Yep,
hundred thousand dollar rental, it's now worth 400,000. You could refinance that, take that other 200,000 and scale the business.
yep.
And
And I remember in 2010, everybody was like, the prices will never get that high again. Well, we've certainly exceeded that for sure.
yeah, that we have.
A couple final questions as we close this down, Laura. For you, like coming into Rental Property Pro, I think you've talked to Jen and Tim quite a bit, but what was, I guess, the thing that you found to be the most beneficial, helpful, and supportive in, kind of getting to this point with doing this development deal, with changing your mindset and looking at everything differently?
Yeah. Well, I really appreciated their availability and their honesty.
Fair.
And then like I had questions about, not liability, but tax implications when you're doing something within the 401k.
Hmm.
You don't get to write off the depreciation that you do outside of your 401k and, other little perks that you get when you own real estate from a tax standpoint. So it was very helpful to kind of talk through some of those things and get some guidance on, hey, maybe you should talk to so and so you're structuring right because you also want to take that out of the 401k at some point, and you're going to have tax liability when you do that so that you can start claiming some of the benefits of writing off, your repairs and your
Yep.
homeowners insurance and your property taxes and all the other perks that you get when you do own real estate. So they've just
Yeah.
been,
Okay.
I was just gonna, they've just been very helpful in helping me navigate through some of those things that I didn't even think about. I'm like, I didn't realize that. And then in
Yep.
estate planning too, for that matter, it's like if you keep it within your 401k and then you pass, your heirs have to pull that out of the 401k within 10 years.
Yep.
They don't get to continue to collect that residual
Yeah, you got
income
to
and run
use
it
that.
like the business you are. Yeah. So just trying to prepare. They've given me a ton of information and it just, like I was sharing earlier, I feel like iron sharpens iron. So to have a team
Yep.
of like-minded people on your side saying, oh yeah, that would work. I could see this, or maybe think about it this way, or again, think deep about, okay, what's the end game here since that is retirement. And my goal is to, build generational wealth. So
Yep.
one, we can retire on the residual income, but then our kids have those assets, you know, for the rest of their lives to do with what they want to do.
Yeah. I love that. And so it's one of those things where you have a number in your mind, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think for some people you need to sit down and think, is that number really what I need? Because I think the number is actually a lot smaller than most people
Oh, it
realize,
is.
right?
Yeah, it
And you're
is.
like, once you do the math, you're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, like that's
Yeah.
way more doable, right? I've had so many people I've coached over the years come to me and say, I want to make $20,000 a month. I'm like, have you ever made $20,000 a month? No, I
Yep.
never have. Okay, so if you woke up tomorrow and had $8,000 a month or $6,000 a month coming in, matching your W-2 salary, and you never had to go to work again, would that be great? That's
Mhm.
perfect. Well, that's way more achievable, right? So, and then
Yeah.
once we get there, then we can shoot for 20, right?
Yeah. Well, and not only that too, John, you take into consideration you probably won't have any debt. By the time you retire,
Exactly.
that's the goal. You have no debt. Your homes are paid for, your education's paid for, your vehicles are paid for. So now you just need your basics, which is still a lot. I'm
Yeah.
figuring you need at least $3,000 or $4,000 a month just to live. Cover
Yeah,
utilities,
exactly.
groceries. That's not fun money. That's just to live. So for
Yep.
me, I mean, this is a question I ask all my investor clients as we're getting closer to retirement is what is that number?
Yep.
Again, just to see if I'm out there in left field or can you retire on $10,000 a month in residual income or is that
Yep.
just crazy? Do you need 15? But one good thing about the rental income is that goes up every year as appreciation goes up every
Yep.
year, or the cost of living goes up. So that 10,000 today, hopefully in 5 years from now will be, maybe 15,000. So as
Yep.
my costs go up, the rents go up, and it's kind of a wash.
Yeah. And that's one thing that a lot of people miss out on, right? Is, you know, if you're, pulling money from a stock account, right? The hope and desire is that the stock account increases and you can continue to live off the interest, but
Yeah.
there's nothing saying that that stock account is going to increase with your cost of living, with inflation, right?
Right.
Whereas, your cost of living increases, so does the renters, right? And that just offsets the income, the additional income you're going to need to maintain that level of lifestyle. So that's
Yeah.
that's a huge point. I
Yeah.
love that.
And I'm actually glad you asked too about like how do you put that goal into a realistic number? Because again, you're thinking, oh, well, I need 20,000 or I need 20 rentals, right? I need to
Yep.
have a bigger portfolio than what I have to do what I want to do. And you don't. When you start to
No.
calculate how much do you really need and how many properties would it take to get you there? I mean, 10 to 15 properties free and clear, you could live a very nice lifestyle.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's easy, 15, $20,000 a month in income. And,
Yep.
it's one of those things where I think we get sidetracked by that little cash flow number while it's finance,
Yeah.
right? Whereas if we take the bigger picture, what happens if for the next 5 years, like we just hurry up and bought 10 properties, right? It's two properties a year. And then
Yeah.
for the next 10 years or 15 or 20 till we retire, we just focus on paying them off, right? We
Yep.
don't have to buy anything else. We just try to pay them off, get them paid off in those 20 years. And that's damn near just by making the mortgage payment, maybe a little bit more. And
Yeah.
then, retirement's set and we have assets that have tripled in value by the time that comes up. So yeah, yeah,
That's why we're
awesome.
in this business, right?
That
That's the
is.
big picture, and that is actually what happens.
Yep. Well, Laura, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Any parting words you want to leave with the students or anything about your experience and any words of wisdom?
Well, I would say if you're looking to purchase something that needs renovations, I always get two or three different set of eyeballs on what the cost to complete the project is going to be.
Love
I
it.
always have a minimum of a $10,000 oops factor because when you start
Love
tearing
it.
into a rehab project, there's always something. And I would rather know I'm not, I'd rather know ahead of time that I'm not making what I thought I was making, and then make it, right?
Yep.
Um, so those and then location, location, location. You can find a really good deal in a not so great area, and it's not worth it in the long run, in my opinion.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you can find something that maybe doesn't have a significant cash flow for you and it's in a strong area or a growing neighborhood, I'd focus on that versus something that maybe has a little more cash flow right now, but is in an area that is not appreciating as some of the other neighboring locations.
I
That
love
would
it.
be my
Awesome.
thoughts.
Very tactical, very conservative, which I appreciate, right?
Well,
As
I'm
good as
conservative now. I wasn't back when I was buying and who cares and
it was easier back then, it felt that way
yeah,
at least. Yeah, as experienced of as a real estate investor or agent that you can be, there's always going to be surprises, right? We can't account
absolutely.
for everything, and preparing and prepping for that when you're originally running your numbers is hugely key. So great,
Yeah.
great advice. Well, Laura, it's been an absolute pleasure. Congratulations on your success and
Thank you.
figuring this out. Please keep us updated on how the project goes. When do you
I
plan on
will.
breaking ground?
Hopefully in the spring.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yep.
we're
And it'll,
plugging
what, six
along.
months to get it built out?
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. So once that frost line goes away and you can actually put a shovel in the ground, you'll kick this thing off. And by
Yep.
the end of next year, you should be fully rented and cash flowing, huh?
I hope so.
All
That is
right.
the goal. That is
All
definitely the
right.
goal.
Well, keep setting up those coaching calls. Keep in touch. Please keep sharing the journey, and we'd love to see this project take shape. And have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Be safe on your travels, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Thanks. Yep.
Thanks,
Bye,
Thanks,
Laura.
guys.
guys.